thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
And away we go with the Wednesday edition of the Brian Snow Show. Thank you all for joining us. It's been a crazy runaround kind of day, but you know what? Oops. Hold on a minute. I keep doing this. I keep making this mistake. There we go. It's been a runaround kind of day, but we are here on this Wednesday edition. I have David Glenn coming at the top of the next hour, and I'm going to try to I got David Glenn coming at 5, and then Ryan McCarthy coming later on. Was supposed to have Jennifer Matthews Lewis. Unfortunately didn't work out. I take the blame for it because I'm still trying to figure out my schedule here. Okay. Savannah James. I have to know something. Why did you commercialize your... You know what? I retract the question. Because of who it is. Their daughter, Zhuri, stops her from swearing as her family honors LeBron James at the ESPYs. An ESPY he didn't deserve, by the way. What are you thinking? I mean, this is supposed to be a classy event, and that wasn't classy. To me, this just screams 2 words.
You fool!
Why do you... You want to stop your mother from swearing? Have someone else present the award to him. I'm sorry. I mean, I know she's his wife and she's bragging about him. I get that. I totally get that. Believe me. I have a beautiful wife that brags on me all the time. But I've been taught for many, many moons. There was a time and a place for everything. That wasn't the time, nor was it the place, Zhuri. I won't ask what his young children are doing up on stage. I won't ask what his wife is doing on stage. I'll just ask why that? Why then? Why? That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Ever. Well, I can't say ever because have I seen some stupid things. I've seen some incredibly, incredibly stupid things. And I got to tell you, I'm scared for what may happen to the ESPYs from here on out. I'm scared. The reason? What if we have more situations like this? I mean, this could be the Oscars all over again. I know you want to make a play off of Shaft and describing how incredible your husband is as a player, and the whole act is just tired. Okay, it's tired. Stop. Just stop, please. You're not supposed to do that. Not in that place, not in that time, and not with that young of a child being up there doing that. That's just not right. Just ask, what are you teaching them at home? Am I going to go all the way there? I'm going to go all the way there. What are you teaching them at home if they're going to do that? Now, I will give the benefit of the doubt that this was totally rehearsed. I understand that. But again, there is a time and a place for everything, and that wasn't the time nor the place. even in honoring the supposed greatest player in the game. And when Savannah said, "Please welcome the GOAT," I'm thinking, okay, where's Michael Jordan? I didn't know she was introducing Michael Jordan because to me, he's the greatest of all time. Him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I've always said that. Always will say that. How can you believe that how can you believe that he's the greatest only because you've watched him for 20 years? Okay, I get that. I get that. You're bragging on your husband. Get that too. But do your research first, will you please? It also begs me to ask the question, and to many people to many a Braun sexual, to many a Braun fan, I shouldn't ask this question, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. Have you seen your husband play? Have you seen how he's destroyed the game? And I absolutely said what I said. He's destroyed the game. He has absolutely blasted the game to smithereens. And were it not for Kobe and Steph Curry and a few other players, it will never come back. Not to the way that it was. Not to the way that it was some time ago. Not to the way that it was some time ago. Sorry. It's just sad that it's come to this. It's just sad that so many people have lifted him up this way. Family excluded because they watched him play. I get that. I understand that. But Zhuri, there's a time and a place for everything, and that wasn't the time, nor was that the place. As a father, I have to say, I'd be pretty appalled. As a father and a husband, I'd say I'd have to be pretty appalled. Especially when it seemed like it was all rehearsed. It was all rehearsed. Sorry. Can't do it, won't do it, you can't make me. Jody, baby, that's for you. Back in a minute. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Hey y'all, Snowman here. Catch me, Cole Johnson, Wise El Jefe, Vicalah, and the rest of the usual suspects and a few unusual suspects as we bring you 2 hours of the best sports talk you will ever watch and listen to. It's called Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Now on at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific on CSTV and CSTVNow.com. Join us, won't you?
One of the great things about ordering meals from Mother of Macros is that you can do it from the comfort of your own home. Click the national or local delivery link to access the menu, and we'll ship the meals right to your door. We understand you won't always have time to plan, shop, prepare, and cook to provide healthy nutrition for your family, so the process is simple and saves you hours. We know you're busy, so our meals are professionally prepared and packaged. You only need to heat them up and enjoy. We provide macro-balanced, delicious meals chock full of fresh, local ingredients with none of the stuff you don't want to eat. Plus, our menu changes every week, keeping your taste buds wanting more. We take care of your meals so you can worry about everything else on your list. Mother of Macros.
I don't want to grow up. I'm basically a man-child.
2005 Burning Man. I put a single Mitsubishi 170-watt panel on the roof of my F-250,
And I killed the batteries within like 15 minutes of the first time turning them on. So that's when I first got into solar. I was blown away. by the customer service at Battleborn.
We want them to be happy with our product because in the long run, they're the ones who are out there using it.
When you used to buy something American, like a car, something you knew was built really well, that's what I think of with Battleborn.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
$14 after the hour on this Wednesday edition of the Brian Snow Show, and I got to get a kiss real quick. Hang on.
Okay.
I got to get a kiss.
Okay. Love you.
Yeah, that's my Dr. K. And my daughter Sonia is up too. As I've mentioned, 14 after the hour, we continue on this edition of the Brian Snow Show. And you know what? There is something that was said that is nerve-wracking. I talked about it this morning. I'll talk about it here. LeBron James said, quote, "I don't care how many more points I score or what I can and cannot do." Hello, Pumpkin. Come here, big boy. Or what I can and cannot do on the floor. The real question for me is, can I play without cheating the game? I'll stop right there. Say hi, Pumpkin. See, even Pumpkin's bristling at that comment. You want to get down? Can I play without cheating this game? That's the question. And then I don't. And then the day I can't give the game everything on the floor is the day I'll be done. Lucky for you guys, that day is not today. You never gave everything to the game, dude. Stop. Can I play this game without cheating the game? Let me answer that with this question.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
Can you play without cheating the game? Anybody remember the supposed crab dribble? Anybody watch how many times he takes like 4 or 5 steps to get to the basket? Huh? Just cool it. It doesn't work. Okay? Don't you get it? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work anymore. Stop it. That's about all I can say. And the comment drew a loud ovation from the crowd inside the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles. Well, duh, they're all Laker fans. More to the point, they were all bronzexuals. Duh. James added, quote, "Listen, you can love me, and I know some of you hate me as well, but the one thing you will always do is respect me and appreciate the way I approach the game and what I've given to this game." Close quote. Well, I don't. I don't love you. I don't hate you, but I sure as hell don't respect you. You have destroyed the NBA and you have destroyed the game. Now, I already know some of these bronzexuals are going to come after me. How can you say he's destroyed the game? I'll repeat my question that I said a few minutes ago. Have you seen him play? What kind of real league-wide impact has he made on the game? League-wide. Because I can tell you players that have made league-wide impact with his game, and 2 of them have the 2 most indefensible shots ever. The 2 most indefensible shots ever are the fadeaway jumper and, of course, the skyhook. The skyhook being the most indefensible shot ever created. And all because they wanted to limit dunking in college. They told him he couldn't dunk, so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, created the skyhook. You adjust your game to the times. He has not. He meaning LeBron has not. Period. Point blank. End of story. He has not. What's his signature shot? What's his signature move? Can he make free throws in the clutch? Can he have an impact on the game without taking over the game? Can he take over the game without taking over the game scoring? Huh? Can you answer those questions? I'll answer them all with the same answer. No. Does he actually give a listen? Let me ask a question, and I know Victor's gonna laugh his head off in Chicago when I ask this question, and it goes like this: does he actually give 2/5 of a half of a damn about the game? No. Because he's blown it up. He's blown it up. And I had a friend text me saying, you need to ease off of your hate of LeBron. Listen to me carefully. This is not hate, okay? Trust me, it's not hate. This is just me looking at his game with a very critical eye. That's for you, Victor. Let me say it again. This is just me looking at the overall impact of his game on the league and on the sport of basketball with a very critical eye. And right now, after 20 years, my critical eye is not working. My critical eye tells me his game ain't worth watching. It just plain isn't. And folks have been saying, when he signed with the Lakers, that he was going to take over the Western Conference. No. Since he signed with the Lakers, Golden State's gone to the finals twice. Denver's gone once. Phoenix has gone once. And yet there's the Lakers in 2020 in that COVID Invitational. In the COVID Invitational. Just give me this button. And y'all know the button I'm looking for. To say that he's the greatest of all time.
Stop the cap.
Please. Please. Lucky for you guys that day isn't today. You mean we're going to get subjected to another year of this? There. I relent the same way I relented this morning. All right? I relent the same way I relented this morning. 20 years of this and it's going to continue to go on. Why? Dear God, Tom said it best. Walk away, retire, hang them up. All right? You got people that you got fans all over the place. And apparently a lot of them think you're the greatest player of all time. I do not. And by the way, in the same LeBron era, besides Wardell Stephen Curry II, there's a fellow by the name of Kobe Bean Bryant that's had an impact on the game and had an impact on the NBA. In the same supposed era that LeBron has had. Because if you think about it truthfully, the era was supposed to go from Kobe to LeBron. It didn't. Why? Stephen Curry showed up and snatched it right out from under his nose. If he's the greatest of this generation, he's even been called the greatest of this generation. I got a question about that.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
Oh, you didn't hear me? I'll repeat the question again.
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
Greatest of all time. My. Just cool it, will you? Cool your jets until he shows me something incredible in season 21 that overpasses uh um season 5, 2007, 2008. I'm not impressed. Period. Until he shows something in 2023 that I already saw in 2008, at the end of which, in an incredible semifinal series, he was supposed to, I don't know, take that next step, which he didn't because he got spanked in 2009 by Dwight Howard and the Orlando Magic. That was the year it was all supposed to come to a head. 2009, it was all supposed to rest at the top of the mountain. Who is the best, Kobe or LeBron? Two problems. One, Kobe held up his end of the bargain. Two, LeBron got spanked, as he rightfully should have, because he didn't compete all the way against Orlando. Were it not for a miraculous shot in game 2 of that series, in which the Cleveland Cavaliers won 96-95, the series would have ended in 5 games. Hell, if you really think about it, if you really think about it, it would have ended in a 4-game sweep, because Orlando went to Cleveland and socked them in the jaw in game 1 of that series. A miraculous shot by LeBron. Kudos to you for that shot, because I can't make a jump shot to save my life, nor am I going to try. A 28-foot jump shot, man, please. How did the late Skip Carey put it? It's a 28-foot shot. I probably would have shot at 19, if that. LeBron is a fabulous athlete. I've said that all along. I will continue to say it all along. He's a fabulous athlete. There is no other NBA athlete like him. And the way he takes care of his body is freaking incredible. I'll give you all of that. I'll give you all of that. I'm not going to give you greatest of all time. Not a chance in hell. I've seen better. Let me say that again. For those of you in the cheap seats at the old Richfield Coliseum. LeBron is a magnificent athlete. Magnificent. There will never be another NBA athlete like LeBron James. I said it aloud. I've said it since day one. I will continue to say it, because each year he has gotten stronger. And in some ways on the court, he's gotten wiser. My problem is he's a very incomplete package. He is the most incomplete package I've seen play basketball in 25 years. To me, outside of Derrick Rose due to an injury, and Daniel Berry, good afternoon to you, my friend. Outside of Derrick Rose because of his injuries, and if you go back into the day, Andrew Toney because of his injuries, and I know I'm going to get yelled at for this, but for me, LeBron James represents the ultimate what if. I think that's what he's chasing. I think that's what he's chasing. The answer to the ultimate what if. And there isn't an answer, because in the greatest of series, you lost. Okay? In the greatest of series, LeBron, you lost 6 times. Now, I know people are going to throw at me, well, you're a Warrior fan and Steph has lost twice in the finals. 6 is greater than 2, isn't it? I would rather be 4-2 in the World Championship Series than 4-6. And that 4 may become 5 for Stephen Curry this coming year. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. That's for you, redhead. But do me a favor, will you, folks? Please
Stop the cap.
when it comes to LeBron. Please. Please.
Stop the cap.
I'll ask again. Please.
Stop the cap.
Just
Stop the cap.
I've had enough caffeine for the day, so just
Stop the cap.
because he's not the greatest player of all time. Savannah, I know you're very biased. Zhuri, Bronny, and Bryce, I know y'all are biased. That's your dad. That's your husband. I get it. Dear Lord, I get it. But just plain
Stop the cap.
when it comes to this guy. Now, I'm going to say a line that will make a lot of people angry. But I don't care. He's not it. He never has been it. I don't have the right slide up here, so I can't use it. But if you think he's the greatest of all time,
You fool!
just stop, will you please? Just stop it. Because until he steps up his game, there will always be an end of the year service for a premature exit from getting to the World Championship Series for LeBron James, period. Anybody who saw the church service this morning, that's what's going to happen every single year. For the simplest of reasons, he has not made his game better. Ever. Oh, after 2008, he got to the Eastern Conference. He got to the Eastern Conference semifinals and waged a 7-game war against the Boston Celtics. You know what he did after that to improve his game? Nothing. Oh, let me say it again. And Victor's already texting me saying the Bron Sixers are going to come after you. Let him. Let him. I don't care. You know what LeBron has done after 2008 to improve his game on the floor? Nothing. I'll say it one more time before I go to a break. Do you know what? Wait a minute. Wait, let me do it this way. For the people that actually think to this day, to this moment, even with him announcing he's coming back for his 21st year, God help us. To actually think he's worth it?
Why the you lying? Why you always lying?
You fool!
You fools. You fools.
You fool!
I dare you bronsexuals to come after me. I would say it the way Samuel L. Jackson said it, but I would get in a whole bunch of trouble. I'll be back. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, Shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
We're not a cooking show. We're a show about cooking. We turn the camera around and point it at you. Our show takes place right inside your kitchen.
Thursday nights are wrestling night on CSTV. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific to see all the amazing Next Level Pro Wrestling stars on Thursday Night Throwdown on CSTVNow.com and the CSTV app on your Roku device.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Oh my gosh. 36 after the hour of the Brian Snow Show, where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. We're presented by BetUS.com and Invader Coffee. Our text line is 502-467-9619. That's 502-467-9619. We're presented by Recruiting Giants. Our mission is to connect exceptional talent with exceptional companies. We strive to provide innovative and tailored staffing solutions to help organizations build successful teams. By leveraging our expertise and extensive network of industry professionals, we aim to drive growth, foster long-term partnerships, and positively impact the success, darn it, both our clients and our candidates. We are dedicated to delivering exceptional service, exceeding expectations, and becoming the preferred staffing partner for businesses looking to recruit top talent. For more information, email Mark Zanetto at info@recruitinggiants.com or call 336-587-3659. That's 336-587-3659. Recruiting Giants, where talent meets opportunity. Well, Northwestern's situation gets worse and worse and worse. Before I get to that, my guest tomorrow on the Brian Snow Show in hour 2 is none other than Next Level Pro Wrestling television champion, the Suplexing Rex. I messed up the promo. I'll do it next hour. Let me get to this. The situation at Northwestern is getting worse by the day. Worse. Four former Northwestern football players detailed an environment of ritualized abuse that has left many still dealing with the traumatic fallout years after the end of their playing careers. Lloyd Yates, former wide receiver and quarterback, said the university and football program has let us down. We were thrown into a culture where physical, emotional, and sexual abuse was normalized. We were all victims, no matter what our roles were at the time. Warren Miles Long, Stephen Levin. Wait. 3 former teammates. Warren Miles Long, Simba Short, and former tight end Tom Carnifax echo these thoughts. I am sick I am absolutely sickened by all of this. As a fan and as a supporter of Northwestern University. This reminds me of all the hubbub that went down concerning the Chicago Blackhawks. Same kind of atmosphere. Physical, emotional, and sexual abuse normalized in a football locker room. Maybe I can't imagine it because I haven't played football. I haven't been in that. In a way, I've been in that culture, but in a way I have not. Tune in to Snowman Unfiltered tonight, and I'll explain. But this is sickening to me that this goes on, that this culture has been normalized. And I no longer absolve Pat Fitzgerald, nor have I, from not. You can't just say you didn't know about this and expect to be let off the hook with just a 2-week suspension. No. You've known about this, Coach Pat Fitzgerald. And it's sad that you didn't do a damn thing about it. It's awful that you didn't do anything about it. Not a thing. And the sad part is the one word that keeps popping up in all of these cases that are coming out right now, the word is normalized. Like it's just another day of work. That just simply cannot be. This is a program, this is a school that is going to have to be stripped of a lot. And let's go out the wins and throw out the wins and losses. Okay? Throw out the wins and losses. Because now you have to ask the question, did this go on under Gary Barnett or Randy Walker? Two of the more successful coaches at Northwestern. Hell, Gary Barnett put Northwestern on the map in 1995. Who was one of his star players? Pat Fitzgerald. Who is one of his star players? Pat Fitzgerald under Gary Barnett. And there are two independent investigations, two concurrent investigations now being launched into Northwestern University's antics. And that's all I can say about what these are, antics. It's sad that it's come to this. Somebody say something, then this gets nipped in the bud a hell of a lot quicker. And now you have to go back. I'll say it again. You may have to go back to the Gary Barnett days where Northwestern was on the map. First came on the map in football. How far will these investigations go trace back to learn about this behavior? How far will they go back? It's awful. It's awful. And everybody that was involved and didn't do anything about it should be punished. Period. And I'm glad Pat Fitzgerald got fired. Didn't think it would come to this. But now you have former players, and I'm glad they're speaking out. You know something? Pat Fitzgerald shot down a possible union because his lead quarterback, Kane Coulter, started it. And Pat Fitzgerald shot it down. It just tells me the position that Pat Fitzgerald held. And that sickens me even more. It sickens me even more. Why does it sicken me even more? Because, again, I thought Pat Fitzgerald was one of the good guys. I thought Pat Fitzgerald was one of the good guys. It's sickening and it's sad to me that this is all coming out. And it's coming out in a bunch. It's coming out in a flood. It is coming out in a flood. To the point where this may involve jail time for Pat Fitzgerald. It's god awful that it has come to this. It's god awful that all this is coming out now. I'll repeat a question I said just a few moments ago. How far back do they have to go in terms of this and these two investigations that are going on right now? There are two independent investigations going on concurrently right now. They're being launched, I should say, that are being launched. For those of you watching on CSTV, you see the look of disgust on my face because I am thoroughly disgusted. I'm disgusted. This is the sad state of affairs, to say the least, for Northwestern University. One of the schools you never, ever thought would be hit with something like this. You know, and Shane Lake said it best. One of the key dominoes to fall was Pat Fitzgerald. Now you just have to wonder, will the administration fall? Because Pat Fitzgerald had an obligation not only to protect his players, but to report any and everything that's going on that should not be going on under his watch. Under his watch. All I can do is shake my head at all of this. That is all I can do. It's the sickest thing. And I'll again akin this to the scandal with the Chicago Blackhawks. But I think this is going to take more than 2 years to repair. If it can be repaired at all. The only way I believe it does get repaired is to blow the whole program up, suffer a death penalty, and then come back the way SMU did. But that's going to take years. Well, they put themselves in this situation. They put themselves into this. It'll take a full cleaning house. A full cleaning house. And when I say a full cleaning house, I mean just that. From the administration on down. And yes, I'm calling for the administration to go too. You got to get some people in there that'll actually keep keep Northwestern wholesome. Like they were like they were supposedly being. Like they were supposedly being for many, many years. Many years. What was the talk of it? What was being said about Northwestern? They do it right. They get the kids that they want. They're superior. They're superior students, and they're great student athletes. Well, now this puts all of that into question. And it puts all this into very, very muddy waters. This is awful. This is sad. This is sick. And to say that changes need to be made would be a horrid understatement. Horrid. Because this entire incident is horrid. This entire incident is awful. And now I think it's going to be worse than Penn State. Because I have the feeling more students are going to come out. I have the feeling even more students are going to come out. And if they don't, it will hurt them for life. They already got to live with it. And these are men we're talking about, folks. These are men that we're talking. These are young men we're talking about. The abusive young man already goes untouched, already goes untalked about. Boy, I understand that. I understand that so very well. This is crazy. This is just plain sad. And that's about the only word I can come up with for it. That's the only word I can come up with for it. That's the only word I can come up with for it. I hope they do something extraordinary. And when I mean extraordinary, I mean clean the whole house. I'm serious. I hope they do something very extraordinary like clean the whole damn house. Just clean the whole house. From top to bottom. Clean the whole house. Sorry about that. Just clean the whole house. Because there's no way you're getting out from under this scandal. You're already scathed. All right? And the scathing reports will continue to come. The scathing accounts will continue to come. And it's only going to get worse. It's going to get worse. If it ain't getting worse already. And this is a team that I've adored since 1995 as a fan, the Northwestern Wildcats. Maybe they have to trace, maybe these independent investigations have to trace the roots back to 1995. The Rose Bowl team. When did it start? Why hasn't it stopped? Who's responsible? Give me this button. Who started this Those are four major questions that need to be answered. Do we have to trace it back to 1995? There are many, many questions yet to be answered, and I don't know if they all will get answered. I don't know if all of them will get answered. That's the scary thing. There are so many questions that need to be answered, it's not even funny. And not to name drop here, but one of my favorite Northwestern Wildcats is a sportscaster, Mike Greenberg. I'm wondering how he's feeling about this. Steve Schnurr, Darnell Autry, Adrian Autry, and yes, I'm tracing my roots of my Northwestern love back to 1995 because that's the first team I love because they beat Northwestern, they beat Penn State, and they beat Michigan all in the same year. That made me fall in love with the Northwestern Wildcats. When did all of this begin? When did all of this begin? Did it happen during the Barnett era? The Randy Walker era? Because apparently Pat Fitzgerald did nothing to stop it. 17 years as the head coach of the Northwestern Wildcats. Mr. Fitzgerald, you had 17 years to open your ears and eyes to the culture that was established in your locker room, and you did nothing about it. I adored you as a player, but now I despise you as a coach and as a person. You let these young men down. And if it comes out that you really didn't know, I must give this disclaimer to be totally fair on both sides of the ball. And if it comes out that you weren't involved in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I will jump in front of this microphone and happily change my opinion. In fact, there's a part of me that hopes to do that. But looking at the peripherals right now, Northwestern Athletics is a bloody mess. And you know the scariest part of all? The scariest part of all. This may only be the tip of the iceberg. Yikes. Shame on you, Pat Fitzgerald. Shame on you, Northwestern football team. Shame on you, Northwestern brass, for allowing this to go on and not saying anything or doing anything earlier. Now you may be staring a death penalty in the face. Back after this. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So don't they hear you? You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Hour 2 therein of the Brian Snow Show. And I'm loving every one of you being here this afternoon. This hour is brought to you by SeatGeek. Looking for the best way to experience live events? Well, SeatGeek has you covered. With just a few taps on your phone, you can find the best seats for concerts, sports, theater, and more. Don't miss out on unforgettable moments. Download the SeatGeek app today and get ready for an experience like no other. Each ticket is vetted for authenticity and ranked on a 1 to 10 scale. And right now, if you use the code Snowman, you'll get $20 off of your first purchase. That's only through the power of SeatGeek, where fans can fan. Speaking of being a fan, my guest right now here at the top of the hour, I've been a fan of his since I met him because he covers the Atlantic Coast Conference. I mean, he started ACCSports.com, and plus, the David Glenn Show is back, and I couldn't be happier. There's my homie, David Glenn, joining me. What's up, man?
I'm doing great, Snowman. It's good to be with you as always.
Hey, good to be with you. I got to get in touch with your supplier because I got to get some shirts made with my logo on it too, man.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I forget how long we've had these, probably 15 years or so. And I thought they might be a collector's item for a while, but now the show is back, so it's back in action.
What made y'all inspired you to bring it back?
The long story short is I'm at that stage of my career that I didn't feel like I needed to do anything else. You know, I've dabbled in TV. I created the magazine and the website. I've been a business owner. I had the syndicated radio show. And I just didn't want to kind of go back to where I had been previously. But I also didn't want to leave North Carolina. And some of my best job opportunities were in other states, whether it was university teaching, full-time positions. I'm an adjunct at UNC Wilmington, and I love that. But my wife and I really didn't want to leave, so I told a lot of folks, come back to me with a new media 21st century business model, kind of like what you're doing. And so we have the YouTube channel at the NC Sportsnet. We have the David Glenn Show podcasts. We have NCSportsNetwork.com. So we have our own multi-purpose
website. We're covering the whole state, which is important to me. I didn't want to just do the Triangle or just do Charlotte or just do Wilmington. So, I've already got Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski lined up, and I already had Rod Brindamore of the Hurricanes as a one-on-one guest and Chris Corciani of the NC State Wolfpack, a college basketball legend. And because I've known these guys for so long and they have a relationship with me, if I say I want to talk to you for 30 minutes instead of the old AM, FM kind of 12-minute conversations with a lot of commercial breaks, I just feel like I have more of a blank canvas. And we're bringing back a tailgate tour. So you've got the in-person element, the audio element, the video element, the website element. We haven't announced them all yet, but we have about a dozen sponsors, which is really hard to do in today's crazy environment, as you know.
It is.
So all the planets aligned, and enough people wanted me to come back that it inspired me to consider this opportunity after turning down many others. And here we are, and I'm having a lot of fun so far.
Well, David Glenn's show is a blast. I love you. I love your work, and I love your interviews. The one you did with Rod Brindamore, that had to be fun.
It was. Well, just as I feel like we know each other a little bit personally, Rod Brindamore and I know each other a lot of bit personally, if you want to put it that way.
Right.
So it's crazy. I rooted for him. I'm originally from Philadelphia, of course, and he was with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yep.
Lo and behold, I've been down here for 3 decades plus. About 20-some years ago, he got traded to the Canes, just as our state was welcoming NHL hockey, or a few years after we got the Canes in North Carolina. So then I start covering him, and then I start interviewing him. And we just have a lot in common. We have a somewhat similar view of the world. He's also one of the nicest guys I've ever met. People often ask you, because you deal with famous people as well, not just in sports, but otherwise, who are those unforgettable people, putting aside what they've accomplished in their line of work.
Right.
And Rod's going to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame someday. He's already in the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame, as deserved. But he's an even better person. He's just salt of the earth, honest, kind, open-minded, hardworking, and, like whatever any of us would want our own children to grow up to be like. He's a lot of those things, if not all of them. So it makes for a fun conversation in sports for obvious reasons, but also beyond sports because he's just such an amazing guy.
I will always relay this story. I had a chance to have Lee Woodall, linebacker from the 49ers, on my program 2 years ago while I was living in North Carolina. And he told me one of the funniest football stories where he said he was a rookie. He was a wide-eyed rookie from Westchester. He gets to the 49ers, of course, 1994, and they go all the way and they win the Super Bowl. Now, when he played in college, they only had 10 games. With the NFL, you're playing 19. If you go all the way, you're playing 19 games. And at the end of the season, I just remember him saying, "The season's over. We won. Can I go home now?" And I cracked up. I cracked up laughing. So to have stories like that, both you and I, over the course of our career with our guests, that not only has to be fun, but that has to make you feel good, doesn't it?
You know what I love, Snowman, is that a lot of the best questions are simply not appropriate for, let's say, the locker room after a game.
Right.
Or let's say like a press conference before a game, right? Mm-hmm. I can't ask Rod Brindamore about meeting the woman who became his wife on a blind date,
right,
where she claimed she had to Google him just to find out who he really was and whether he was lying about being a pro hockey player. Think about it. In traditional media, 9 times out of 10, that's a completely inappropriate question. If the guy's supposed to be talking about his team or his or his contract or the last game or the next game or
right.
90% of settings, that's not appropriate. Mm-hmm. And then the other 10%, I think, is where we have that blank canvas, much like you have. You can tackle whatever you want to tackle. It can be a 10-minute interview, but it could also be a 30-minute interview if that's what's justified. Right. I mean, Chris Corciani is probably 50 plus years old at this point, and he says the things he's asked about most, even though to this day, Snowman, he is number 2 in NCAA Division I men's basketball history in career assists. He had
Yes.
1,000+ with the Wolfpack. Only Bobby Hurley of Duke has more in the history of the game. So those records are surviving for 3 decades. He said what he's asked about most are the unitard Wolfpack basketball uniforms that they experimented with one year, which were a disaster, but everybody remembers them, and those players were embarrassed to wear them. And then the time he got thrown out by referee Carl Hess at a Wolfpack game with Tom Gugliotta, his old college teammate, when they were spectators and just rooting on the Wolfpack. And they swear to this day they didn't drop a cuss word. They didn't, do anything inappropriate in terms of their gestures. But so the guy's, an accomplished dude. He's Jimmy V's last point guard. He's one half of the Fire and Ice legend with Rodney Monroe. That nickname lingers all these years later. By the way, they never ran the nickname by Chris Corchiani and Rodney Monroe. They just announced it. We're going to call you Fire and Ice. That doesn't work with modern day athletes, man. This was the late 80s. NC State came up with an idea, and nobody said, should we ask Chris and Rodney if they like it?
They just ran with it.
They just ran with it, and he was cool with it. But it does show how times have changed a bit.
Yeah, it does. I had a chance to meet one of the members of that championship team, coached by the legendary Jim Valvano, by the name of Cozell McQueen.
Oh yeah.
And I was living in Gary, Indiana, and I see this. Now I pick on people that are shorter than me. My wife's shorter than me, and she picks on me because I'm tall. But it's a rarity, and she said it to me. Jody said it to me that it's a rarity to see someone taller than me. Well, I was living in Gary, Indiana, and that happened. He walks in, and I look up at him, and I recognize him, and he's on the phone, and I hear him say Cozell, and I'm going, no, that can't be. So I think, okay, I'm gonna lay back. I'm gonna wait to see if it's Cozell McQueen. What do? Nope. Walk right up to him. Did you play at North Carolina State? And he cracks up laughing. And he says, you remember me? Yes, I do. Very well. And we must have talked for a good 20, 25 minutes. So that part of the landscape, like you said, Dave, with having a blank canvas, with the way media is nowadays, the tradition is still there, but John Rooney, who is the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, said a long time ago that radio is dying. And we now have the internet, we have YouTube, and we have internet radio. And so that canvas gets refreshed every time that you come on the air, knowing your guests ahead of time. And there's really not much of a limit you can put on, how long you have them on, like you said a moment ago.
You know what I find interesting, Snowman, and you've dealt with a lot of the business side of this wild industry as well. I teach this at my sports media class at UNC Wilmington. It's not that people don't love to consume, for example, audio. They absolutely do in record numbers in the history of our country. People still love their audio. But just as, for example, I grew up in a newspaper-driven world. And of course, in the 90s, with the birth of the internet and then the growth of the internet, gradually newspapers went from truly the dominant place to get your sports news way back when I was growing up. My dad says that's how I learned how to read. Other kids had picture books, and I was reading the Philadelphia Inquirer to see if my Phillies had won the night before, because I wasn't allowed to stay up late enough to watch the end of the game. So the cool thing for us is that people still love content. But what has changed, and I was somebody whose career ended in sports radio in part because of the pandemic, but terrestrial AM, FM radio, their economic model has been in decline for the last decade, just like the newspaper economic model declined. Well, that doesn't mean newspapers died, right? Newspapers are still around. They're just smaller versions of themselves. Doesn't mean AM and FM radio is going to die. They're just smaller versions of themselves. The good news, I think, for people like you and me is as long as you produce quality content that has an audience, it can be nowadays. My YouTube channel goes straight to the consumer. My podcast goes straight to the consumer. I don't need some rich person who owns a radio station or owns a TV station or owns a satellite dish or whatever, who may or may not share my values.
Right.
I've been a business owner in the past. I can't say I love being an entrepreneur. Out of all the things I've been successful at in life, I really would rather leave business ownership to other people at this stage of my life.
Yes.
But to get back in the way I wanted to get back in, I needed to, with business partners, become a business owner again. But I know there's a demand for quality sports content. Like you, I like to extend it beyond sports into life. And fortunately, even with these very hard to predict and changing economic models, even as we see, it feels like every year ESPN is laying off really, really, really talented people. It's not like they stopped being good at their jobs and had to be let go. It's all about the economic model. And we're all experimenting with new economic models here in 2023. And that's just the way it's going to be now and for as far as the eye can see.
It's been a flux with new economic models in 2023, especially being a business owner, getting my wife involved because she says she wants to be involved, and everything else that's coming together. And to liken it to what you said, Dave, it's a blank canvas.
Yeah.
COVID wiped the canvas out. The COVID situation that went on for a year and a half wiped the canvas out. And now so many people are starting to see, hey, I could be independent and do this or do this or do this. And now the pieces are starting to fall back into place. The only problem is it's taken a little bit longer, especially when it comes to sports radio and sports content, because there's so much of a fine line that we have to walk in doing this.
There is. And we all know that the themes and trends are going to keep changing. I go back to the good news. People love sports. The three most lucrative sports, this is not an exaggeration, the three most lucrative sports in the history of the world are the current versions of the National Football League, Major League Baseball, and the NBA. They're all based in the United States. They do have a lot of international fans, of course, but they're ours. And by the way, people are surprised to learn that the National Hockey League is number 5 on that list, which, only English Premier League Soccer is number 4. So we have 4 of the 5 most highest revenue pro sports organizations in the world. And we also have, obviously, very lucrative college sports. And there is an audience for that. And there is passion for those things. And here in where I am, North Carolina, we have the NFL, we have the NHL, we have the NBA, we have everything but Major League Baseball, because we have the MLS now, we have the NWSL, the top women's soccer league. We have not only PGA Tour events, we occasionally get a golf major.
Yes.
We not only have NASCAR events, we're the home of like 90% of all the NASCAR teams, right? We have ATP and WTA tennis events. We, of course, have insanely good college basketball, but also pretty good college football and all these, college baseball, college lacrosse. There's national champions, it feels like, all the time, given the North Carolina schools I cover, but I'm still 35 years into covering the Atlantic Coast Conference, which just this past year won more national titles than any other league. They had 9 team titles and then a whole bunch of individual titles. But when you have more titles than the SEC and the Big Ten, and those 2 leagues, of course, making more money than everybody else right now, that means that even as the ACC has fallen behind a little financially, they haven't fallen behind competitively. And that makes my job more fun, a lot of other people's job more fun. But it also gives the sports fans of the ACC or the state of North Carolina more reasons to tune in, more reasons to care. And fortunately for the consumer, they have as many options as they've ever had.
I cover the ACC as well. Even being back here in Indiana, I was knee deep in it for 2 years, going to see Wake Forest and Duke and North Carolina and North Carolina State. Those, of course, are the big 4 in the ACC. And looking at the competition, looking at the competition of the ACC, I want to focus on ACC baseball and the incredible run of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Who expected Wake Forest to come out of nowhere, dominate the ACC like they did in baseball? And a shout to my buddy Ty Collins, who's their baseball voice for many years. And then they get to Omaha, and were it not for a miraculous 11th inning walk-off, against LSU, we'd be talking about them being national champions. And they're going to come back reloaded next year. So a lot of fun that I had this year was covering ACC baseball.
I'm with you. I mean, what's weird is the ACC, while almost always in the 8-team College World Series, they only have 2 titles ever.
Yeah.
In the history of a 70-year-old league. Think of all the men's basketball titles and lacrosse titles and field hockey titles and men's soccer and women's soccer and so many other things. Always good, often deep, and yet the only 2 teams that have ever won it all in the ACC in baseball were UVA in 2015 and Wake Forest back before you and I were born. So Wake knocked on the door, and for those who didn't have a front row seat, they were not only the best pitching team in college baseball, they were one of the best hitting teams.
They were one of the best hitting teams. When
it was the perfect storm for Tom Walter, their head coach, who has had other success. This was not a flash in the pan. He's been at the super regional level, et cetera. He's had many other successful years, but this was, of course, his best season of his career and something those Demon Deacons players will never forget. I know other coaches in the ACC thought Wake was not at the preseason, but as things evolved, it became clear that the Demon Deacons were something truly special. Obviously, when you get to Omaha, a lot of other teams are also special, and it's a little bit of a roll of the dice who's going to go away with the crown. So another knock on the door and a huge step forward for Wake Forest baseball. Cool thing here, really ACC or North Carolina, there's 5 other programs that love their baseball tradition and have a lot of postseason success to show for it.
David Glenn joining us here, the creator of ACCsports.com and host of the David Glenn Show. We're getting close to football. We're about a month. We're about a month away. What's the early returns broadcast wise on ACC football? Because I'd like to follow it more this year.
Well, you can follow us at ncsportsnetwork.com. That's the new website that we just created. There'll be a lot of North Carolina-oriented stuff there, meaning the state of North Carolina, not the UNC version of Carolina. ncsportsnetwork.com. And I also cover the ACC for chapelboro.com. But the bottom line is the ACC has been left out of the college football playoff lately. And after Clemson won 2 national championships, and although it feels like a lifetime ago, 10 years ago, Florida State won the national championship. So that's 3 of the last 10 for the Atlantic Coast Conference in a sport that the ACC is a little less famous for. We're used to them winning in men's basketball and other things. We're not used to national crowns in football, but they have 3 of the last 10. I mentioned those 2 schools in part because whereas there's optimism at UNC because of the Drake May factor. I mean, he's a Heisman contender, and the Heels won 9 games last year, and he might be the best pro prospect that school has ever produced in 100 years of football for the NFL at the quarterback position. But also Riley Leonard is at Duke, and the Blue Devils in Mike Elko's debut won 9 games last year. NC State has a kid named Brennan Armstrong who was really good at UVA 2 years ago, struggled last year, but he's transferred to the Wolfpack. And he's actually reunited with the same offensive coordinator he had 2 years ago at UVA. So the Wolfpack, coming off of, they seem to win 8-ish games every year under Dave Doran. They have some optimism. Dave Clawson at Wake is one of the smartest guys I've ever met in college football. So even though Sam Hartman, his QB, transferred to Notre Dame, the Demon Deacons think that their depth chart is good enough to win even without Sam Hartman. But the ACC conversation has to start with Clemson and Florida State. Dabo Swinney has won 7 of the last 8 ACC titles. I mean, other than Bobby Bowden, the late, great Florida State coach, who, of course, did all sorts of incredible things in the ACC and even before the Seminoles joined the ACC, I think Dabo Swinney's body of work is as good as any coach in ACC football history. And he's only 53-ish years old, which is amazing. So the Tigers will be really, really good again. But the Florida State Seminoles, who a year ago won 10 games and finished in the national top 10 under Mike Norvell, they feel like they're loaded. And it's not easy to win a national title as they did in 2013, obviously. But Mike Norvell, after 2 bad years, had his climb up last year with the 10 wins, and they think they can win more than 10 this year and challenge Clemson for the ACC football championship. So it feels like a flashback to a decade ago when it was usually the Tigers and the Seminoles. I think that's the starting point again this year, but those other stories will be fun to watch as well.
It will be fun to watch. That's my buddy David Glenn, the man in charge of the David Glenn Show and ACCsports.com. Go give him a follow. Listen to his show. It's fun to listen. It's fun to listen to. He's got some great interviews and got some great content. And also subscribe to NC Sportsnet on YouTube. A lot of North Carolina stuff. I'm going to be following it and doing a lot of coverage of Carolina from here. Thank you, buddy. I love you very much. We'll do it again soon.
Right back at you, Snowman. Always good to be with you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. David Glenn, the man in charge of the David Glenn Show, joining us. I am going to take a break, and when we come back, Ryan McCarthy in the afternoon? What? Yes, that will happen after this. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground, and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Attention sports fans looking for the ultimate gear and apparel to show your team pride? Look no further than Fanatics, the #1 destination for sports enthusiasts. Visit snowmanmultimediasports.com/fanatics today and shop a wide selection of officially licensed merchandise from your favorite teams. From jerseys to hats, accessories to collectibles, Fanatics has it all. Don't miss out on the chance to elevate your game day experience. Head over to snowmanmultimediasports.com/fanatics and gear up like a true fan with Fanatics, officially licensed everything. And we are presented by BetUS.com. Hey, sports bettors, listen up. Your favorite sports book, BetUS.com, is back in our 30th year of action. With live in-game betting, incredible odds with daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, fast payouts, and exceptional one-to-one customer service, we got it all. And when you sign up and use the code Snowman, you will get a 125% deposit match on your initial deposit. Log on to betus.com or call 800-792-3887. 800-79-BET-US. BetUS.com, where the game begins. Ryan McCarthy is on the way, and he will alert me when he is nearby. But we're going to take a peek into the Fanatics feedback zone as my buddy Sam Shady of the Shady Sports Network, who you'll see on Friday morning, says depends on how you get those interviews. As we were talking about sports media, chopping it up with David Glenn. Let's just say we've had our battles with leagues about not focusing on their league. Oh, I've had battles like that too. I've had battles like that too. But what's fun is when you keep going. Okay, I'm going to switch brands here very briefly because I cannot and will not introduce Ryan McCarthy without doing it the right way, which is like this. Coffee with McCarthy is sponsored by Steph Curry Cognac. One, and it's lights out. Here's Ryan McCarthy, and he joins me this afternoon. How are you, man?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
Doing good.
There we go. Now you can see
where you got everything. All right, where do we start? Okay, I'll start with this. We'll get to the Arena Football League. Thank you, Sam Shady, in just a moment. But how about those Argonauts?
They're scary.
Yes,
that's a scary team because they're good at all three phases of the game. They're good on special teams. They're great on offense.
Yes.
They're very good on defense. They're very good on special teams. Now, I don't think we'll have an 18-0 season, but now,
the way they're looking right now,
but no, the way that they're playing though, they're playing like every week's a win for them. Every week's one more notch in the win column.
Did we see a possible preview of the Grey Cup when they smashed BC at BMO Field? And they got to see BC. They have to see BC again later in the year. But those are they not the two best teams in the CFL right now?
I think they are the best. They're the two best teams in the CFL right now. I know. Vernon Adams had a really rough game a couple weeks ago.
6 interceptions.
Throwing 6 interceptions. I've said this about Vernon Adams over the course of his career. You don't know which version of Vernon Adams you're going to get game by game.
True.
Some days it's like last week when he was absolutely lights out against the my Montreal Alouettes, which I would like to make a rule that the Montreal Alouettes never, ever, ever go to BC Place again. Because every time they go there, it's one in the lost column. It's one in the lost column every single time they go to BC Place.
When was the last time they won in BC? When was the last time Montreal won in BC Place? Before or after the rebuild of BC Place? Because remember, they had to tear the roof down.
I have no idea, honestly. I had to look that up. I don't know the history offhand, but I know that traditionally they're kind of like the Yankees in a sense when they go on their West Coast trips.
Yep.
And they're terrible. When
Yep.
Evidence of that is right now they're pretty much going to get swept by the Los Angeles Angels. My God. But let's
How
not
do you
I'm
get
not
swept by the Angels?
That's a great question. and only managed 4 runs so far.
And only managed 4 runs. Good.
He only managed 2 hits last night. But
how?
But no, I with that lineup, I don't know. That lineup is so offensively talented. But
And
when
yet
they
they
go
only got
dry, they
2
go
hits.
dry. And I have two words for that. Aaron Boone.
Mm-hmm.
The Brandon Staley of Major League Baseball.
One day, Yankees fans long to hear, and thank you, Cole Johnson, for this. Dear Aaron Boone, you fired.
You're fired. Tell him when he's won, Ray.
You can't tell me Yankee fans are not longing to hear Aaron Boone be told, Vince McMahon style, you're fired. Staying with the CFL, tell me how the Red Blacks came back and beat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Tell me how Dustin Crum has come out of nowhere to lead them, because it was 25-9 with 4 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
It was 25-9. I fell asleep.
I'll tell you what happened was their defense woke up.
They did.
Woke up. They all looked lost when they went down the field and had they got their chances to get into the red zone. They got in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't punch it in.
They couldn't
punch
punch
it. But then their defense, Dandridge came through with that pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
They get the 3 and out. They get a 3 and out, but they get an out. Their defense steps up, gets them the ball back. They march down the field 95 yards in a matter of less than 2 minutes. And Crum went 6 for 6 on that drive to tie the game.
In 100 seconds, they went down the field and tied the game. And then Dustin Crum won it in overtime.
Yep.
Winnipeg got a field goal. Dustin Crum said, the hell with this. We're walking out of here.
And what's funny is that I think it was either Rod Black or Dwayne Ford on the broadcast said, in overtime, you cannot afford to take a penalty or
a sack.
What happens on 2nd down and 10? They take a sack.
And it led to a field goal instead of a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. And then Dustin Crum runs it in for a touchdown, and the rest is history.
I love listening to Rod call CFL games.
Me too.
He's one of the best. Now,
I wish it was Chris Cuthbert, but
I wish it was too. I wish it was. I'm watching old videos and listening to him call CFL games. He's fun to listen to also.
I'm sorry, it was not Rod Black, it was Rod Smith. I'm sorry.
Rod Smith.
Rod Black was let go, unfortunately, last year. So
yeah.
But in his place is Dustin Nielsen, who's a pretty good announcer too.
Yeah, Dustin's pretty cool. Dustin's pretty cool to listen to.
Very enthusiastic.
Mm-hmm. He's like me. He's like I get into it too.
I call Dustin Nielsen the Excalibur of TSN because he goes breathless whenever he gets really excited about
whenever he gets real excited.
He gets breathless at the end of it.
Mario Alford, hello.
Mm-hmm. Two punt return touchdowns.
Now to the bottom of the CFL and the Edmonton Eskimos, or Edmonton Elks is their officially called.
The Elkskimos.
The Elkskimos, yes. I don't know why they changed the name, but what is wrong?
I'll tell you why.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Corporate bullying. It's as simple as that.
Fair. Explains the Washington Redskins also. But what is wrong with Edmonton? Why can't they win? Especially at home? Because they had an 11, I think it was at Winnipeg. No, Saskatchewan. I beg your pardon. 2 weeks ago at Saskatchewan. Had an 11-4 lead. 11-4 lead. I fell asleep. I wake up. I get an alert. And Saskatchewan won 12-11. And I'm going, how?
I saw the score and I said, this must have been a human atrocity of offense of this game. because the next week, Saskatchewan scores 31 points in a
31 points.
And
they lost to Calgary on a walk-off.
Edmonton had 29 points in a loss. So what happened to the offense in that game? It was a human atrocity on both sides of the ball. So
I make a rule that Edmonton and Saskatchewan can no longer play each other, but that rule can't be enacted because they're both in the Western Division.
Because they're both in the West Division. Yeah,
they're both in the West Division, so they have to play each other at least 3 times. Yikes!
Mm-hmm. And now Trevor Harris is gone for now Trevor Harris is gone for an indeterminate amount of time with that broken leg. He had surgery this week, and I misspoke on Monday's Coffee with McCarthy because I thought he had blown out his knee, but I did some more research and it turns out he had a broken tibia or fibula. He's got a broken bone on one of the his lower leg, so. He's out for an indeterminate amount of time.
And with Trevor Harris being 37, is this it for him?
No. I think he'll be back next year.
Okay.
I think he wants to prove to the Saskatchewan fans. And we don't know if he's going to come back this year. It depends on how his leg heals.
True.
This season, we're only week 7?
Yeah, we're going into week 7.
We got a long ways to go, so he could come back in October.
True.
And maybe steal a couple games for the Red Riders.
True. Very true. Jeremiah Masoli.
Poor Jeremiah.
Oh man, I hate that happened for Jeremiah. And let me shout Hawk TV for my first ever super chat. I got a super sticker earlier, so the Hawk TV did that for me. thank you, Hawk TV. Thank you, Hawk TV, very much for that. Love being monetized now. But Jeremiah Masoli stepped wrong. And there goes his Achilles again.
Mm-hmm. It's weird how the human body works.
Yeah, it's awful how the human body works sometimes because he had worked so hard to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And then that happens.
Yep.
Yikes. What's his prognosis?
Torn Achilles, he's gone for the year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and Achilles tendons take about 6 to about. I'm no doctor, so it takes a while to heal because you have to have surgery. You have to have surgery to repair that tendon, and then it's going to take months of recovery.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he's back in time for next season, but
that's at least a 12-month recovery period.
That's at least 9 months.
At least 9.
At least.
My wife went through that 2 years ago when she tore her Achilles, and it sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, credit to her, credit to my beauty. She walked around with a boot and was able to get around. It wasn't completely torn, but it was torn to the point enough where it kept her off her feet.
Yeah,
for like 2 months. So that's a horrible injury to come back from. To the Arena Football League, and I know this is something you and I both wanted to cover.
Yep.
What are the cities in their grand return?
So I'm not going to reveal the cities, but there was one omission because Sam's going to do it on Friday. I don't want to steal his thunder.
True. But still, give me a hint.
Hold on. All right. One hint is same city where the Battlehawks play.
All I need to know.
Okay, there you go.
All I need to know.
But
need to know. I love it.
But there was one glaring omission. One glaring omission from the list of cities.
Really?
Yep. Albany, New York was not included in the preliminary cities for the 16 cities for the return in 2024.
And my next 3 words are, I wonder why.
Well, hopefully it's not because of the stink that Antonio Brown left when he decided to disparage the National Arena League,
right,
and not pay his league dues for the month of May.
This is what I said. What needs to happen with Albany is the same thing that needs to happen with Northwestern. Blow it up, put it back together, put some new pieces in place.
Well,
Can they do that? Can the Albany? I'm about to say Albany Firebirds. Can they do that?
Yes, as long as they find another owner, as long as they find somebody, and I would love somebody local, because when the first iteration of the Albany Empire was in existence, they had local ownership. They had the Hearst family, who runs the Albany Times Union, the local newspaper, and they were the primary financial backer. They also had Marcus Colston as a financial backer. I mean, I don't know if they're going to follow the same model as the last iteration of the Arena Football League, where it was just like one big pot of ownership. Like we had three owners per team. We had three teams under one ownership and three teams on another ownership. Like Ted Leonsis owned Washington. I think he owned Washington, Baltimore, and I want to say Columbus.
Oh boy!
And then Ron Jaworski, the Hearst family, and another partnership, Marcus Colston, they owned Atlantic City, Albany, and I want to say Philadelphia.
Okay.
So I'm trying to remember the Philadelphia Soul. So I don't know if they'll come back as the Albany Empire, or if maybe somebody will buy the intellectual properties of the Firebirds name from the National Arena League, because the National Arena League actually owns the IP for the Firebirds. So I don't know. It was kind of disappointing to see that the Arena Football League didn't announce Albany because Albany's a pillar city in arena football.
It is.
Think about all the way back to 1990. They had 6 weeks to put together a team. Rather successful first season. Then they went to the playoffs every single year. 8 out of the 10 seasons they were in the league, they made it to the playoffs.
They had there was a quarterback that played with Albany. Mike Perez. I think
Mike Perez. Yep.
Mike Perez.
He was a New York Giant. Then he went to the Albany Firebirds, and that's where we also found
he lit the place up.
And that's where we had that's when touchdown Eddie Brown came into his own.
Yep.
Because
I mean, there was he had 400 yards a game, and I kept wondering, who's this Mike Perez character?
He was in training camp with the New York Giants for a short time. They let him go, and they went to the Arena League and had a pretty good career in the Arena League between Albany and New York City with the City Hawks.
Yeah.
So he had a pretty decent career. But I can name a bunch of players off the top of my head from the Firebirds days. I went to Arena Bowl 13 in 1999. I was there at Pepsi Arena. It was loud. It was boisterous. I
bet it was.
Great game. Good
old Knickerbocker Arena, aka Pepsi Arena. What's it called now?
The MVP Arena.
The what?
MVP Arena.
Oh boy.
Well, there's a local health insurance company called MVP. So they bought the naming rights, and then January 1st, 2022 became the MVP Arena.
So when are they?
It was the Times Union Center up for a 10-year period.
Yeah.
Too.
When are they going to do the nicknames for the teams?
I don't know. I just know that they announced the host cities yesterday, and that's all I know right now. That's all I know right now.
Okay.
But I know that after the Empire were kicked out of the National Arena League with present ownership, the GM Arena GM Bob Belber, I think he's playing one of a number of parties getting ready to sue Antonio Brown. I can't confirm that, but but I'm speculating at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He said that they're looking at 3 different leagues to come back to Albany for arena team. It could be the Arena Football League, which is right now it's unfortunately won't be part of the Arena Football League. They could come back in the National Arena League, but they can also join the IFL. So there's a couple of leagues. They still have a couple of leagues that are still they're still looking to put a tenant in MVP Arena, because right now the only pro sports we have are the Albany Firewolves, who just completed a 2-18 season, unfortunately, because they were in a rebuild. They were in a rebuild, unfortunately.
Let's go to baseball, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I can't believe I'm going to ask this.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are the Baltimore Orioles doing in a tie for first place in the American League East? What? because they won. They beat the Dodgers today, 8-5.
Good for them. Okay.
Thank you, Baltimore, for beating the Dodgers. And I have a very selfish reason I'm saying that. They're called the San Francisco Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is still Texas. They
True.
beat Tampa Bay 5-1. And now you have
wow.
Tampa Bay and Baltimore in a tie for the American League East Elite. How? This is about as topsy-turvy of a season as I've ever watched in Major League
Chaos, baby. I love it. It's chaos.
I love it too, man. I love it too.
Somewhere Professor Chaos is laughing maniacally.
Yes, very maniacal.
You know what? It's interesting to see that the teams that had kind of built their farm system, kept them together from single A all the way up to through triple A. Those teams are the ones who are getting the most. They're the most surprising this year. Baltimore, Texas, Cincinnati, in a way, Pittsburgh. I was high in Pittsburgh in the beginning and then O'Neal Cruz.
Are we really pulling for Pittsburgh, for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Why not? Come on, say
Tommy,
it.
I love you, but they're the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I understand, but they're a pillar franchise in the National League. They've been around for forever. You want to see
why can't they get it right?
Because
they were 20-9 at one point this year.
I think the O'Neal Cruz factor, him being out. It's amazing that one player can make a difference for the entire team, the entirety of your roster. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's coming back pretty soon. I know he was running bases a few weeks ago, and Aaron Judge also was running bases this afternoon in Anaheim. But it's just amazing that your team, if one key player goes down, your entire team is screwed. But I don't know. I just have this feeling that if he returns and he returns healthy or returns to being the player that he was before he was injured, I think Pittsburgh can make a run, considering that the NL Central is pretty atrocious in the first place.
Oh, the NL Central is trash.
Ellie
De La Cruz or not.
And Matt McClain. We can't forget Matt McClain, because before Ellie De La Cruz came along, Matt McClain came up on May 23rd. And he's hitting 300 right now. I think lost in the LA De La Cruz hype. Matt McClain is having a great season after he got called up.
But it's the consistency that's going to kill the Reds.
They need pitching.
They need starting pitching bad.
They do.
They need full staff, because what they have right now is bare bones.
I can name you one starter from that team, and it's Sonny Gray, because he played for the Yankees.
Because he played for the Yankees.
It's the only starter I can name from that team.
The National League West looks this way. A lot of people were crazy when I picked the Giants to win the West at the start of the season. I had so many Dodger fans come after me saying, "Oh, it's all about the Dodgers. It's all about the Dodgers." Well, looky here. One game separates the Dodgers and the Giants, and the Giants have won 7 in a row. They win tonight. They're in the tie for first place.
You say it's all about the Dodgers. It's all about the Dodgers. The Dodgers are basically doing the Yankee model from the 1990s, where they're paying. They have some homegrown players,
pay any and everybody,
but they're
just be on your team.
Yeah, you get the highest payroll in sports. And I don't know. I just love the fact that they're in a dogfight right now with two other teams, the Giants and the Diamondbacks, who nobody saw coming.
No, I sure did.
You thought people thought San Diego was going to be the team to challenge the Dodgers.
I didn't think San Diego would challenge the Dodgers. The team I thought would challenge the Dodgers is busy challenging them. That's the Giants.
In the words of Willie Corso, not so fast, my friend. No, to the Padres, because the way the Padres had their season last year, where they went to the NLCS and were stomped on by the buzzsaw named the Philadelphia Phillies,
and they're becoming a buzzsaw again. And they're becoming a buzzsaw again because they're getting healthy.
Yep.
The only problem with Philadelphia is the same thing that's with Cincinnati. They need some pitching.
Pitching.
They need
That's what it all comes
some
down
pitching.
to.
And then you got the curious case of the Atlanta Braves, who are 61-32 right now. But Cole said something yesterday morning that rings so true. You can have the best regular season ever, which is what they're on their way to having. Prove it to me in October.
Yeah, just look what the Boston Bruins did in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Greatest regular season ever, most wins ever, most points ever. David 3000, I'm sorry to do this to you, but they blew a 3-1 lead. Yeah, 3-1 lead.
And had a chance to clinch at home on a breakaway as time. That would have been the ultimate walk-off for me.
Yeah.
That would have been the ultimate walk-off. To have a shot at a breakaway goal to win the series, to clinch the series. And when that shot was missed, all hell broke loose.
Oh, I got some breaking news for you here. Well, not so much breaking news, but this came up. I'm a notification on my phone.
All right.
Jets place running back Breece Hall, wide receiver Randall Cobb, and tight end CJ Uzoma on the PUP list.
And
Physically unable to perform.
Is that?
Well, here's the thing. It may be just for training camp. But, you never know. I mean, Breece Hall.
I want Breece Hall to come back. I do.
Me too.
I want Breece. Breece Hall is the key to that offense.
Yes.
Regardless of what anybody says about who, the key to the Jets offense is Breece Hall. Period.
I don't disagree.
There's just no two ways around it. They get Breece Hall, they get a 1,000-yard rusher, they get a fellow who can catch the ball out of the backfield, and their offense gets more diversified. They don't get him, they got a whole bunch of problems.
Speaking of football, did you happen to see the release of the Seattle Seahawks? They're bringing back their classic jerseys for a couple games this year.
Oh, God. Well,
no,
I take that back. I take that back. It's better than the neon jerseys.
True. It's better than the Orlando. It's better than the
Orlando Guardian uniform.
The Orlando Thunder.
The Orlando Thunder.
The Orlando Thunder with Scott Mitchell as quarterback.
Oh my gosh. The World League of American Football. Who's in the World League? You have the London Monarchs. Barcelona Dragons.
Yep. The Frankfurt Galaxy.
You had the Montreal Machine.
New York, New Jersey
Knights.
San Antonio Riders.
Birmingham
Fire.
Thunder.
Birmingham Fire.
Birmingham Fire.
There's a couple more. The Sacramento Surge. Who after that team left, the Sacramento Gold Miners came in as his first CFL USA team.
Right.
Then you had the Raleigh-Durham Skyhawks who went 0 for 10 in 1991.
And then the Ohio Glory.
Then they moved to Ohio, became the Ohio Glory. Played in Columbus, Ohio. They won one game on a walk-off field.
One.
Went 1-9 in 1992.
Oh gosh. The Ohio Glory. Playing that very song whenever they scored a touchdown, which was few, far between, and very rare.
And
very, very, very rare.
But my co-chair Dustin sends me a Facebook message about the unveiling of the retro uniforms, and he's like, I go, wow, they look really sharp, because I remember those jerseys too. They had the classic blue jersey with the gray helmet, or gray/silver helmet. And he says, yeah, I'm going to have to run out and get myself a retro jersey. I'm like, hey, go for it, dude. And apparently the Jets are going to have their own retro jerseys as well. I'm hoping and praying it's the 1980s version.
They better bring those back.
Oh, man, I miss those jerseys. Miss that helmet.
They better bring those back. Ryan McCarthy joining us here this afternoon. I had him for a pinch hit duty, but some things fell in place. Was able to get this in, but always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Snowman. Appreciate giving me the opportunity, and love being here.
Thank you, buddy. Well, that'll wrap it up for this edition of the Brian Snow Show. I want to thank everybody for joining me. My time is up. I want to say thank you. I want to say God bless you, and I will see y'all tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, for some more great sports talk and getting to know people in life. So long, everybody.
Thank you for tuning into The Brian Snow Show, where sports is the base, life and fun are the results.